Welcome to a tutorial video on ink. In this video I'm going to cover gather points and labeled options. So returning to this same example we've been working on across these videos. However, in this particular video we're only going to use a subset of it just so we can cover these two different concepts. So as we talked about in an earlier video, we can make choices. When we return to knots with those same choices, we can't make them again, unless we make them sticky choices. As we saw, like here on line 13 with the plus sign. This makes it sticky, meaning we can keep doing it. So we can click this, and we can just keep on doing this. And we'll just keep looping within this knot, because this is a sticky choice. However, if I were to choose I should just do it, over here on the right-hand side, we see it's a choice over here on line 16, and it would collapse this set of choices. So it's not sticky. We can use the plus sign for sticky choices, we can do the normal star for other choices, and once we do it, those choices collapse. Gather points come into play here because otherwise, as we'd make choices, we could split off into different directions. Sometimes, however, we want to gather ourselves back up, and so we can create gather points. Similar to how we created sticky choices, in this case, we use the minus sign right here on line 19. So the start of chapter 2 is in fact a gather point. Once we've made a choice, and those choices then collapse on, we can gather together and move on to the rest of this project. So we see here, if I don't click the sticky choice, which loops us, which is lines 13 and 14, if I choose this, I could just keep choosing it, and we just could keep looping indefinitely. But if I choose line 16, we see the text line 17, and then we see the gather point line 19. Again, with the minus sign, gathers us back to this gather point. Labeled options come in, as we saw in earlier videos, where we wanted to see had we visited knots yet, had we visited stitches yet. We could use those, similar to how we did in other videos, to look at now options or choices. Did we make a certain choice? Did the player make a certain choice as they did things? And we see that now here on line 24 and line 25. Again, these are choices, and then in parentheses, we see the name of that labeled option. In this case, look good for line 24 and random underscore close on line 25. Similar to how we used labels, checking to see if we had visited knots and stitches, we can't use spaces, so we have to use underscores or run the words together. So we see here in parentheses a labeled option, line 24, look underscore good. And we see on line 25, in parentheses, random underscore close. These are important because depending on which one we pick, that is, we want to know, did we see those? We want to know if the player actually made those choices. And while we could put some type of logic or additional words or descriptions to show the player within those choices, we can just as easily, using labeled options, give them a label and then test to see if that label actually happened. Similar to, as I described in earlier videos, checking to see if we had visited a knot or a stitch, same idea. And so we see that acted out on lines 30 and 31. If we made the choice associated with the label look good on line 24, it looks to see on line 30, if so, in which case it would be true, it shows the text you look good. If we made the choice associated with the labeled option random underscore close, line 25, it would then show, based on if random underscore close was true or not, on line 31, ready. We can use labeled options then as a very quick way to test, as I've described here, to see if someone had gone to different choices. If we had a wide variety of choices, or choices that depended on other things, we can use this as a very fast shorthand to test to see if those labeled options had happened. Similar to the idea of gather points, again, allowing a player to branch off if they want, but allowing us as an author to control part of that flow, as within ink, bring us together as part of gather points, or use labeled options to condense and use as a shorthand if a player made certain choices or had gone down certain paths. So again, as a review, gather points are made with the minus sign. They're similar to the idea that we saw with sticky choices or sticky options, that we could keep doing them. In this case, It is always the end of some type of set. As long as we're not diverting to somewhere else, it's gathered those points back together. Again, as we saw here, the opening of chapter 2, line 19 that I've highlighted, we're gathering back together. We saw labeled options as similar to line 24 and 25 here. In parentheses, the name of that option, giving it a label, so we can test to see if the player made those choices. That's similar to how we saw in earlier videos, again, as if we had gone to a knot or gone to a stitch. Same general idea, but in this case, giving it over to choices. In this case, look_good or random_close, which we then test on line 30 and 31. And in fact, I'll play it over here on the left-hand side. Let's pick out something good. And we see the text, you look good, which, because we made the choice on line 24 for that labeled option, we now see look_good is true, and we see you look good. Thanks for watching.